Welcome back to the Cars of Queens YouTube channel. Never thought I'd see the day where I'd be doing a Tesla video or any kind of these electric cars. I personally have never been a huge fan of these, and I just feel like they just don't really make sense. A lot of the ergonomics on the Teslas just don't make a lot of sense. And today I'm going to be doing my first ever review on the first Tesla that I've actually driven for quite some time. And this is going to be a 2015 Tesla Model S. So it's not the cheapest kind and it's not the most expensive kind either, but this is kind of like a mid-range Tesla with 58,000 miles on her. And before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to Silverline Auto Group here in Jackson Heights, 7002 Northern Boulevard. So if you guys are interested in this car or any other cars for that matter, be sure to give the good people at Silverline a look. And now back to the video. So Tesla Model S, this one's kind of like a hatchback. Let's start off with what I like. What I do like is that the Tesla Model S has a lot of space. There's a lot of cargo room. There's not only a trunk, but there's a frunk. Another thing I do like about this car is the panoramic sunroof. It's actually quite nice from the inside especially. Very, very interesting design. Now, going inside the Tesla Model S, my favorite feature of this vehicle in particular has got to be the acceleration. Now, obviously the Teslas are known for being very fast. The pickup is great, but it feels like a electric scooter. If you guys have ever rode on an electric scooter or electric bike, this is exactly how it feels like to ride in a Tesla. Now, the pickup is pretty much instantaneous, a lot of torque. That's all that electric cars essentially are. And the interior is obviously very modern, very futuristic, but I just feel like it's very, very gimmicky. It's like the ergonomics of it don't make sense a lot of the time, and especially on the newer ones, it just feels like they get more and more gimmicky. Another thing I noticed is that this shifter looks exactly like the ones inside of a Mercedes-Benz. So let's start off with the ergonomics. This is where the issues are. So I'm not really a big person, but it's hard to get out of the back seat. Then we have this door handle that's like very weird. It's like you kind of have to stretch out and get it, whereas on a normal car it would be right here. Just pull it, get out, right? So on this car, I just feel like things are overly complicated. This isn't exactly a comfortable spot for your windows either. But the Tesla is about being futuristic, and the people who buy it, quite frankly, do not care about these kinds of things. Now, the screen is nice. It's very, very big. But if you're like me, you love buttons, and this car doesn't really have any buttons besides these two right here, these two on the other side. You almost have no buttons at all in this car, at all. So moving on to the back seat of this Tesla Model S. Legroom is sufficient. You do have some vents back here, but just to come out of the car, you guys can see there really is not a lot of space, and I don't think Tesla did as good of a job as they could have optimizing the space for the rear passenger. Considering the fact that there's a trunk here and there's a frunk as well, I think that they could have made this a little bit bigger and easier for the rear passenger to get out of. The seats are made of this weird synthetic kind of leather imitation. I don't really know what to call it, but it's definitely some kind of synthetic leather. The interior has lots of also synthetic wood throughout. Interestingly, instead of a traditional key fob, you have this one, which kind of imitates the body lines of the car. And then in order to open up pretty much everything on this vehicle, you have to use the screen. So we're going to open up the frunk to demonstrate. There you have it. Another thing on this car that doesn't really make sense is the fact that it lacks a dedicated push to start and turn off button. Instead, you just get into the car with the key fob in your pocket, in your hand, wherever, and you just push on the brake, and that in turn turns on the electric motor. So as you guys can see, we've got 103 miles left, and I do like how this kind of has like a heads-up map integrated in the gauge cluster per se, I guess, and you don't have to take your gaze off of the gauge cluster in order to see what kind of street or avenue you are in. But pretty much everything in this car relies on this screen right here, which does beg the question, what's going to happen in the future when this inevitably breaks? It's like it's going to be a disabling factor for your car. So that's another one of the reasons why I don't really trust electric vehicles, as many other people also don't just yet. I just feel like the interface is not there yet, and the charging hasn't become as accessible that it needs to be. Now, moving on to the test drive portion of this video, I feel like this is where this car shines at first, but then you get bored of it. That's what I've realized, is that obviously the power delivery is seamless. You're not waiting for any mechanical components to go. It's electric, so of course this car is a torque monster. It just wants to go, right? You know, it just kicks like crazy, 0 to 60 in astronomical times, right? But eventually you do get tired of it, you do get bored of it, and driving this car aggressively is of course going to drain the battery much faster. And for me, an electrical car is just not practical. For someone who drives a lot, I don't have hours to wait. And even the fast charger, sure, it's 15 minutes, but I feel like it is an inconvenience to me, and of course many other people as well. So for that reason, obviously a gas car or a hybrid is going to make a lot more sense. I really wish they did make hybrid versions of this, and I feel like the push for electric cars is not the smartest thing right now. Hybrids, sure, but not fully electric. I just feel like we are not ready for that. But another thing I do like is that this interface right here that they have in the gauge cluster is actually surprisingly useful. It's not really gimmicky. Yeah, this car accelerates very, very quickly. It's gonna pull you like crazy, and the only thing that I can relate it to is like an electric scooter or an electric bike. If you've had any of those, it just zips, it just zooms. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of a pull as soon as this light turns. So another thing that's also really useful is that you can see the cars in front of you, behind you, around you when you're parking like this. Guys, ready? I'm gonna do just a little bit of a pull. I'm gonna try to slow down here. Yeah, so yeah, surprisingly quick. That's what gets them every time. If you've never been in a Tesla, the first time that you do a pull like that, you're gonna be like astonished, shocked at how fast it can you know, get up to speed. But then very shortly after, you get tired of it. So of course you guys seen people's reactions to the astronomical 0 to 60 times, but for me it's just like, all right, you've had your fun and then you get bored of it. So that just about concludes our review of the 2015 Tesla Model S. Now, of course, I know Tesla has come a long way since the release of this car, and Teslas have become affordable for just about every... So I know Teslas have definitely gotten better throughout the years, but do I think that the Tesla is the right car for everyone? No, not just yet, but maybe 10-15 years in the future, but who knows. If you guys enjoyed this review, you guys want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And shout out to Silverline Auto Group here in Jackson Heights. If you guys are interested in this car or any other cars for that matter, be sure to give them a visit. And we'll see you guys on the next video.